So Jordan Peterson is known for kind of dancing around the Christian faith. He's attracted to it. He sometimes says things like, "I'm scared that it might be true." In this video, though, he's not just dancing around it. He jumps right into the center of it. And from a place of lived experience, he speaks of what is at the heart and center of Christian faith, and that's the cross. It's the fact that the agony comes before the ecstasy. Let's take a look.
What's deepest inevitably takes on a Christian form. Like if you
just pause right there for a minute. What's deepest inevitably takes on a Christian form. This is a man who is honestly looking at the world and where it goes, right? This is a seeker of truth. This is I would say from his perspective, this is a lived experience of Jesus saying, "Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened." This is a man who seeks. This is a man who knocks on every door. This is a man, I believe we are witnessing here a kind of finding in Jordan Peterson's life of this Christian truth. Even though he's still dancing with it, not so sure he's going to jump in, but oh my gosh, he said, everything, if we go to the depth of everything, it takes on a Christian form. Do you love coffee? Do you love coffee? Do you love beer? I mean, what is at the bottom? What is at the bottom of the taste of coffee that you love so much? I'm telling you, Christ, the Logos, the logic behind everything, is in everything. It's the logic in which we live and move and have our being. It's the logic of a coffee bean that you're rejoicing in when you enjoy your coffee, right? It's the logic of barley and malt that you're enjoying when you enjoy your beer. And that logic has an ultimate origin called the logic or the Logos. And the Christian proposal is that logic behind everything took flesh to reveal in the flesh the logic behind everything. Would Jordan Peterson explain it like that? Probably not, but he's putting his finger on it when he says, go to the depths of anything and you discover a Christian form. That's a bold statement for a man who is not even a professed believer. But let's keep going. It gets even better.
Disciplinary endeavor that will take you into the depths. If you pursue a multitude of disciplinary endeavors to the ultimate degree, that will take you to the final depths. And you'll discover what is to be discovered in the final depths. And that's the light at the end of the tunnel, I suppose. It's the darkness first, though.
Are we not?
Boom! That's the light at the end of the tunnel. But it's the darkness first. Right? Look at the seriousness on this man's face. That comes not from books he's read. That comes from the lived experience of agony leading to ecstasy, of sorrow leading to joy, of loss leading to gain. Or, as he himself says, that's the light at the end of the tunnel. But with that utmost seriousness on his face. The darkness comes first, though. That's the reality of the cross. Good Friday comes before Easter Sunday. And all sin, right? All sin is a grasping at that joy, that ecstasy of Easter Sunday, while refusing the agony that it takes to get there. Beware in your own life. What did Jesus say when Peter held out to him the possibility of a fulfillment without the cross? What did Jesus say to Peter? Get behind me, Satan. Anytime a fulfillment is held out to you that does not involve some price, some sacrifice, some cross along with it, get behind me, Satan. This is what life teaches us. And this is what Jordan Peterson is teaching us here too. And in this next clip, he presses in even deeper to how the cross of Christ is essential to reach the destiny of human life. Check it out.
But since Vatican II, let's say in the 60s, the church has been aiming to be more relevant, more welcoming. So what's the
that's
problem?
not working. It's shallow, obviously. Shallow and contemptible. It's supposed to be an invitation to the great adventure of life. What's the great adventure of life? Pick up your cross and follow me. That's a hell of an invitation.
The great adventure of life, Jordan Peterson admits here, the great adventure of life is take up your cross and follow me. Again, this is a man who is not reading this in books, right? This is a man who's speaking from his experience of life. This is what life teaches us. It winnows us down into this reality where we are face to face with suffering and death and evil. And how do we possibly overcome these things? Can we? Let's keep looking.
But that's the invitation. And the church lost faith in that.
We have to be
relevant. Well, what's more relevant than that? As soon as
I'd only add one correction here. He says the church lost faith in this message. No, people in the church have lost faith in this message. But the church proper, the church herself, is the bride of Christ. And the bride of Christ is always faithful to this message. I just wanted to add that little nuance. He's right on to it, that people in the church have lost this understanding. And we're proclaiming a gospel that removes the cross. Well, then that's no longer a gospel. And we no longer have hope of overcoming suffering and death. And I think that's exactly his point here.
Need to be more relevant than that. What you're doing technically is putting something else above that. Well, that's not going to work, not if the original proposition was correct. And obviously the original proposition is correct. You might say, well, why obviously? Okay, well, Christ faced and triumphed over death and hell. And you might say, well, why is that relevant? And the answer is, because that's what you have to do. Right, and
there it is, baby. This is what human life is. Ultimately, if we're looking at reality, we have to triumph over death and hell. Well, good luck with that one on your own, right? We can't. This is why we need a Savior. And this is why the Savior's words, pick up your cross and follow me, that is our only hope. When we hold out a gospel without the cross in an attempt to be relevant or not challenging people on the grand adventure of real existence, we do a terrible disservice. Watch now how Jordan wraps this up.
So is the Catholic Church not challenging people enough?
Definitely not enough, not by any stretch of the imagination. The gateway to paradise is barred by the cherubs who have swords that flame and turn every which way. Well, what does that mean? It means it's hard to get into the club, man.
Oh!
Anything that isn't
there
worthy
it is,
gets
baby.
cut and burned.
That's what we need to hear. It's hard to get into the club, man. Right? This is... Thank you, Jordan Peterson. Thank you, Jordan Peterson, for speaking truth to our hearts. How do we get into the club, which is our destiny, which is the joy of everlasting ecstasy for which we long? We get into the club through the agony of the cross. It's the only way to get there. And the fact that Jordan Peterson, a secular psychologist, is more compellingly proclaiming the gospel here than what we often hear on a Sunday homily, sadly. I mean, what does that say about the sad state of affairs in the church? It's common in biblical history that when the chosen people are not faithful to the message, God goes elsewhere. Thank you, Jordan, for being bold enough to proclaim the truth to us. We need to hear it. The only way to the joy we long for is through the agony of the cross. And that makes the cross itself sweet.